Rich girl math, watch it grow every day.
Hello, this is Retta. Welcome to Rich Girl Math. We talk about investing for women. Grab your bottle of water, settle in, and let's learn today. Nobody teaches women how to invest, so we do. Do add your comments, share, and subscribe to our channel. Quick disclaimer before we start. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Divorce doesn't just split a household, it quietly reshapes your entire financial future. And there's one part of that reshaping almost nobody explains to you. Stick around, because it's the part that actually determines how you land on your feet. Here's what's coming. I'm going to walk you through the hidden financial blind spots that show up during and after divorce, the ones that have nothing to do with how responsible you were with money before. Some of the biggest mistakes aren't dramatic at all. They're small, easy to miss, especially when you're emotionally overwhelmed and just trying to get through the week. And by the end, we're going somewhere important, a fresh way to think about rebuilding and eventually investing on your own terms. I'm not going to give you the full picture yet. Let's start with why this catches so many women off guard in the first place. Divorce can create financial vulnerability even for women who managed money responsibly for years. Here's why. There's a big difference between household finances and individual financial security. When two incomes merge into one household, the whole picture can feel stable, even when your individual position is weaker than it looks. Shared accounts create a false sense of protection. If your name is on a joint account, it's easy to assume you're automatically covered. That assumption is exactly where problems begin. Financial responsibilities can shift overnight. Income can change. Expenses often don't shrink at the same pace, especially housing. Let's make this real. A household brought in $4,500 a month combined. After separation, one person's individual income is $2,400, but the mortgage, childcare, and utilities barely changed. That gap is where financial stress quietly builds. Here's your takeaway. Your financial picture as an individual can look completely different from your picture as a couple. But here's the question forming right now. If your finances were shared, is your credit actually protected? That's next. Here's a myth that catches a lot of women off guard. Joint credit does not automatically protect you individually. Joint credit cards, joint loans, co-signed debt, these don't dissolve when a marriage does. A divorce agreement can say who is supposed to pay a debt. It does not automatically remove someone from a lender's contract. Stop here for a second, because this matters. There's a difference between who is supposed to pay the debt and who is legally responsible to the lender. A court can assign responsibility between two people. The lender wasn't part of that agreement. They still see both names. Here's what that looks like. A couple has a joint credit card with a $6,000 balance. The agreement says one person will pay it off. It can still show up on both credit reports because the lender's contract hasn't changed. This is why checking your own credit report matters, and why closing or transferring joint accounts needs to be handled carefully. Quick disclaimer. Debt and divorce laws vary by country and jurisdiction. Takeaway. Don't assume a legal agreement between you and your ex-partner is the same as your relationship with the lender. But debt isn't the only asset that gets misunderstood in a divorce. The next one represents decades of future income, and it's often overlooked entirely. This is important, so stay with me. Retirement and investment accounts get divided in divorce far more often than expected, but the details are rarely simple. Workplace pensions, personal pensions, and investment accounts, ownership of an account, and how marital assets get divided are not always the same thing. Here's the part most people miss. The value of an account today is not the only thing that matters. Taxes, penalties, fees, and future growth potential can all change what that account is actually worth over time. Here's a simple way to see it. Two accounts, each worth $40,000 today. One is a standard savings account. The other is a pension untouchable for 20 years, but historically growing several percent a year. On paper, they look equal. In reality, they behave completely differently. This is exactly why professional legal or financial advice matters here. Rules differ depending on country, jurisdiction, and account type. I can't give you one universal rule because there isn't one. Takeaway, don't assume two assets of equal value are actually equal. And even after everything is divided, there's one tiny form that can quietly send your money in a direction you never intended. Here's that open loop, finally answered. It's the beneficiary form. A beneficiary is the person named to receive money from an account, a pension, a life insurance policy, an investment account, when the account holder passes away. Here's what most people don't realize. Beneficiary designations can override what you'd assume happens through a will. If your ex-spouse is still listed as beneficiary on a pension or insurance policy, updating your will alone often isn't enough. This is easy to miss because updating a will can feel like the finished task. But old beneficiaries can quietly remain on pensions and insurance policies for years after a divorce, simply because nobody checked. Picture this. A woman updates her will after her divorce, believing everything is handled. Years later, her life insurance policy still lists her ex-husband as beneficiary because nobody ever updated that specific form. The will didn't override it. Beneficiary rules vary by jurisdiction and account type, so this is a reason to check, not a guarantee of what happens in every case. If you remember only one thing from this video, let it be this. Check every beneficiary designation you can access. Now here's the part that matters most. What do you actually do when you're suddenly financially on your own? Okay, the past happened. Now let's rebuild. Your old household emergency fund was built around two incomes and shared expenses. A solo emergency fund needs to be rebuilt around your new reality. Start by separating essential expenses, housing, food, utilities, transport, from discretionary spending, the things that are nice but not necessary right now. Here's the part that matters. Don't wait for a perfect number before you start. Begin with a realistic initial target, then build towards several months of essential expenses over time. Real numbers. Essential monthly expenses of $2,000. A starting target might be $1,000, just to create breathing room. From there, build towards $6,000, 3 months of coverage, and further depending on your situation. There's no single correct number. It depends on income stability, dependence, housing, and any remaining debt. Keep this money separate from investments, and keep it accessible. Takeaway. Rebuilding cash reserves isn't a delay before real progress. It is real progress. But an emergency fund only helps you survive the unexpected. The next step is how you actually rebuild wealth. This is the part we've been building toward. Now look at what happens next. Rebuilding an investing plan follows a clear order. First, stabilize cash flow. Then look at any high-interest debt charging more than your investments are likely to earn, which usually deserves attention first. Once your emergency reserve is in place, set clear financial goals. Retirement, a home, general security. Your goal shapes your investing time horizon. How many years until you'll likely need the money? Understand your risk tolerance honestly. This isn't about being brave or cautious. It's choosing an approach you can stick with when markets get bumpy. Start small if that's where you are. There's no minimum amount required, and starting small consistently beats waiting for a lump sum that may never arrive. Use diversified investments, spreading money across many companies or assets, rather than chasing whatever feels exciting this month. Automate contributions where you can. Increase them gradually as your income improves, and confirm your beneficiaries and account ownership are current on any new accounts. One more thing. Avoid trying to catch up through reckless, high-risk investing. That instinct is understandable, but it tends to create more damage, not less. Here's an illustrative example, not a promise. Investing $150 a month, consistently, with reasonable long-term growth, can add up to a meaningful sum over 15 to 20 years, purely through compounding. Growth building on previous growth. Returns are never guaranteed. Divorce may have changed your financial starting point. It does not have to determine your financial destination. Before you go, let's bring this together. 5 things to remember. 1. Know your individual financial position, separate from the household you had before. 2. Don't assume joint debt disappears just because the relationship did. 3. Review retirement and investment accounts carefully. Equal value isn't always equal outcome. 4. Check every beneficiary designation you can access. 5. Rebuild your emergency fund first, then build a fresh investing strategy from there. None of this is about what you should have known before. It's about what you can act on now. That's how financial independence actually gets rebuilt, one deliberate step at a time. If this gave you some clarity, subscribe. I cover topics exactly like this for women rebuilding their finances on their own terms. I've also put together a free investing checklist, linked in the description below. It's designed to help you organize your next financial steps, from your emergency fund through to your first investment. Rebuilding your finances is one thing. Knowing exactly how much to invest and where to start is the next chapter. I've made a video that walks through precisely that, so you can turn this clarity into your first real step. I'll see you there.
Rich girl math, watch it grow. Every dollar's got somewhere to go. Rich girl math, she already knows. Rich girl math, do the math with me. Small moves now, big money we'll see. Rich girl math, that's the energy. Used to think this wasn't